right. Hi, everybody. So today is all about the seven habits. And I just kind of want to catch you up because I don't really have a lot of assignments that are related to the seven habits. But I do want you to read the book and kind of get the takeaway message. So this video is just sort of like a recap of just what the different habits are about. So you can kind of at least get a little overview, especially if you haven't done that reading. If you have not done the Seven Habits reading, please do it. It is life-changing and phenomenal. I think a lot of my former students have come back and told me, like, thank you so much for making me read The Seven Habits of Highly Effective Teens because it changed my life. It made everything so much better for me once I kind of realized what I needed to do. So the seven habits is sort of a call to action for you to kind of get your habits working for you instead of against you. Because if you have good habits, like every day you wake up and do a set routine that kind of helps you to kind of get your day started, you're more likely to be successful the rest of the day just because you started it off that way. And so if you create good habits for yourself, then you're going to get good results. If you have bad habits, those kind of work against you and they can control your whole life. Like if you sleep till 11 o'clock a.m. or some people sleep till 3, 4 in the afternoon, you're going to miss a big portion of the day and you're going to miss out on getting some things done that you probably need to get done. Okay, so let's go through the seven habits. So far, I think we're up to habit 4. So I'm just going to briefly go through the first 4 habits. Make this a whirlwind tour. Okay, so habit 1. Well, first, before I get into habit 1, the beginning of the book talks about living by your principles or living by your values, which is it's closely in alignment with what your other book, the Career Fitness Program, says. So it says basically that you should live your life by a set of values or principles that you set for yourself. And these values and principles are not like, people and stuff and things. They're concepts like loyalty, love, respect, integrity, okay? So things like that. And so what you should do is come up with a list of, I would say, at least 10 principles or values that you live your life by. And that's one of the assignments we've done in the class. So that means that you already have that list of values. And so you're on board and you're ready to go on to the next habit, which is habit 1. Habit 1 is being proactive. And I think I've mentioned this before, that being proactive means you're taking charge of your life. You're taking control. You're doing what you need to do for you and making things happen in your life because you can't expect anybody else to do that for you except you. You have to be proactive in your own life. You have to make things happen in your life. Things are not just going to magically fall from the sky into your lap. It doesn't work like that. You got to go after what you want. So being proactive is figuring out what you want, making a goal about it, and then putting it into action by doing things every single day to get there. That's what being proactive is. Being reactive is the opposite of being proactive. And that's when you kind of let life just sort of happen to you. And when you're letting life happen to you, a lot of times you're putting other people's stuff in front of your own stuff. You're prioritizing things kind of backwards. So you've got to do what's best for you and take care of your own business first to be proactive. Okay? The second habit is beginning with the end in mind, and that is basically goal setting. So you're basically setting a goal for the future, like this goal in the future is going to be what I want to do. That's my goal. So when you begin with the end in mind, that means you know what it is that you want in the end. You know what the end result should be like. And always, always focus on the end result. So for example, I want to be a best-selling author. So a lot of times I will use affirmations or visualization to say, I, Amy, am a best-selling author. I'm focusing or visualizing myself getting the email from the New York Times saying, you are now a best-selling author. That'd be awesome, right? So just got to focus on that goal. The third habit is putting first things first. putting first things first is time management. It's prioritizing. And basically in this habit, we talk about big rocks versus little rocks. So big rocks are the most important things that you need to get done that relate to the goals you've set for yourself. Little rocks are like the other stuff that's just kind of extra. So things like going to the beach, hanging out with your friends, watching TV, playing on your phone, playing games, talking to friends online, all that stuff is great, and it's good that you should be able to do that, but you should get your stuff done first, then you can do all that other stuff. So the key is to get the big rocks in first. So that means if you've got schoolwork versus watching TV and it's 8 a.m. on Monday morning, you should be working on schoolwork first because that's the most important thing. In 10 years from now, you're not going to look back and be like, gee, I wish I would have watched like way more TV. Then I would have been a much better person, right? Probably not. But you may look back 10 years from now and be like, I wish I would have focused more on school so I could have graduated. Sucks that I didn't graduate, okay? So if you don't put first things first, it means that all the little things that are not important are going to take the place of the important spots or the important things that should get done. And so you'll never get those important things done and you won't see progress. So if you really want to get things done, you got to put the big rocks in first. All right, so after those first 3 habits, I just want to say the first 3 habits are focused on what we call the inner victory, or that's you. So you got to get yourself right first, okay? So the first 3 habits are about getting yourself straightened out. Once you get to habit 4, then we're moving into what we call the public victory. And this is where you're basically working on your relationships with other people and how you deal with and relate to others. So habit 4 starts this out, okay? So let me go through one thing that I think is important. So for the first 3 habits, there's this thing called the personal bank account. The personal bank account is not like a Wells Fargo account at all, okay? It's basically an account of your own self-esteem. So the more positive things that you do, the more, I guess, the good things that you do, those become deposits into your account. The negative things that you do or bad things that you do, they withdraw from your account. So if you do good things, your self-esteem goes up. If you do bad things, your self-esteem goes down. So let me give you some examples. So examples of some good things that you could do would be like if you say you're going to do something, you follow through on it to yourself. Like if you say, I'm going to wake up at 5 a.m. and go running, then at 5 a.m. when you get up and go running, you've kept that promise to yourself, and that's a deposit. But if you at 5 a.m. wake up and go, I don't want to, then you've made a withdrawal. Okay, so one thing that you should think about is don't promise yourself something unless you really intend to follow through on that thing, whatever that might be, okay? So other things are, things like doing nice things for other people. So if you see opportunity to do something nice for somebody and you do that, that's a deposit. If you see somebody needs help and you just walk past them and go, oh well, then that's a withdrawal, okay? So you can kind of get the picture there. If you do good things, deposit. Negative things, withdrawal. Okay, so the same thing goes for in the public victory, okay? So in the public victory, this is your relationships with other people. There's this thing called the relationship bank account. In the relationship bank account, you have an open account with every single person that you have an interaction with. So even if it's somebody you just walk past them as you're walking to class or something, and you don't smile at them or you just look away from them, then you've already made a withdrawal in that account with that person. And a lot of people are like, well, who cares? I'm never going to see them again. And the thing is, you never know who's going to be an important player in your life. You could meet somebody today and then 5 days from now find out that that person is marrying your mom or dad. Or, maybe find out that that person is your long lost brother or sister. Who knows, right? So it's important that you are kind and nice to everybody. Being honest is one of those things. If you're honest, you make deposits into those accounts. If you lie, then you're making withdrawals. So I'll let you guys read about the relationship bank account in its entirety in the book. But I can tell you that not all relationships are equal, meaning sometimes it's like you're the one that's always giving and putting deposits in and the other person is constantly pulling out. and they're always taking, and vice versa. Like sometimes, you're the one that's always taking and somebody's always giving. And those relationships that are unbalanced like that, they're not healthy and they're probably not going to last. So if you really love somebody or care about them, I want you to think about like how much you actually put into the relationship and how much they put into it. Are they constantly depositing or withdrawing? Are you constantly depositing or withdrawing? Okay? So those are some big questions. So habit 4. This is the first habit in the public victory. Basically, it's think win-win. And think win-win is actually, it's a habit that has changed my life. So when I first started teaching the 7 Habits book, the first time I came across think win-win, I remember reading it and just kind of scratching my head and going, I don't get it. Like, why do I want to do this? Okay. So the idea of think win-win is that if we all work together to achieve something that benefits everybody, that we'll all be a lot more happy as a result of that. So, and I was kind of like, but I'm really competitive. I think I mentioned before that I played soccer on a soccer scholarship in college. And so my deal is I like competition and I thrive on competition. So I've always been a competitive person. And so when I got to like school, I immediately looked at my other classmates and I was like, okay, who here looks smarter than me? Because I want to go pick their brain and find out how they do stuff so I can use their information to, I guess, outwit them and be the best student in the class. So I was just always super competitive about everything I did to a point where it was probably not healthy for me. But that was what I was taught. I was taught to be competitive, and I was taught that growing up, my dad would say things like, if you're not going to play to win, then don't even play at all. Maybe some of you have heard that as well. So it was tough for me to take my competitive nature and shift it in this habit to something that was more, I guess, workable and something that would be more collaborative. So I did notice that since I made the shift to thinking win-win as opposed to being competitive, that I actually started doing better in terms of my relationships with other people. Like other people started seeing me more favorably, and I kind of started seeing myself more favorably. So it worked out way better than I thought it would work out. So let me explain the different types of people that exist because this is part of habit 4. So thinking win-win people are people who are like, let's work together so we can all get stuff. People who think win-lose are competitive like I used to be. So I used to be like, I'm going to beat your butt. Let's do this. I love competition and I'm going to win and there's only going to be one winner and it's going to be me. All right. So that's win-lose. Lose-win is kind of the opposite. They call it like the doormat. Like people wipe their feet all over you because you just give in. You're like, oh, you want this? Go ahead. You take it. I don't need it. So you're always giving up stuff so other people can have what they want. And a lot of times you don't even like making your own decisions because it's like not really about you. You think everything's about everybody else and it's about making them happy and satisfied and not yourself. And that is not a good way to be because I think predators, like people who are, kind of looking to take advantage of others, they look for people who are lose-win so they can kind of cruise in and take over their life and sort of manipulate them to work for them instead of doing things for their own good or their own self. So definitely don't want to be a lose-win person. Sometimes it may be easier to let others win, but it's really not good in the long run because if other people expect that you're always going to like give in, when you do finally stand up for yourself, they're going to be like, what? And you might feel like you lose a lot of friends at that point because they're so used to you always just giving in and doing what they want. When you do try to take back your life, that means sometimes you got to get a whole new group of friends who understand that it's not about them, it's about both of you, right? So the last one is lose-lose. And usually lose-lose happens when you get 2 win-lose people together and they're both like, I'm going to win, no, I'm going to win, no, I'm going to win. And somebody has to win, but usually what ends up happening is they drag each other down until neither one is a winner. So some examples of this would be like when I was little, I used to always try to push my brother into the pool and always at the last minute, he would grab me and pull me in too, and then we'd both be in the pool. I was like, damn it, I did not want to get wet right now. So that's an example of a lose-lose. Another example is like child custody battles. I'm like, why are we fighting over children right now? Because nobody's going to win in this situation. Even if there's a winner and loser in court, the kid is still going to lose out because their parents are fighting all the time over them, and that really messes up their head. So you got a lose-lose in terms of both parties are going to lose, but also the child is going to lose too. So it's no good. So how do you want to be? You definitely want to be a win-win kind of person. Thinking win-win means that, you think about how can I get what I need, but also ensure that other people get what they need too out of the situation. That requires collaboration and discussion, and it requires a little bit of work, but it's worth it because in the end, if everybody gets what they want, then they're going to want to work with you again and continue working with you. And if you're good at collaborating with other people and working well with them, then that means you're probably going to get a lot further because let's face it, collaboration is the way that the world works. Look at the music industry, for example. There's a good reason why producers and things like that are always trying to get collaborations going. So that way, both artists can promote their own work, but they can also learn about the other artists from the fans that are already fans of the, other artists. So when you see like a bunch of collaborations, that's helping both of the artists or all of the artists that are involved. And it's also giving you some awesome new music from, two artists that is going to be different than what they would release individually. So it's actually a win-win for everybody, including all the fans. So thinking win-win is actually a really great way to live your life. So when you're dealing with other people, next time, I want you to think about how can I collaborate with this person so we can all get what we want? It's a great way to do it and a different way to do it. And again, something that has changed my life for the better. I now look at situations and try to figure out how everybody can get what they want. All right, so I guess that's it for this lecture. I will update you a little bit more on the 7 habits when we get to the end, and I'll go over the other habits as well. And if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, feel free to text me. All right, bye.